I'm Zane Original. The channel's dead, blah blah blah. Oh, never mind, I gotta make a video now. Must give opinion to strangers online. So, I always planned to make some Deltarune videos when the next chapter came out, but I didn't realize that the new chapter would come out so soon. I thought this was gonna be like a November or December release. And as much as I love making videos that immediately get outdated when games get updated, I decided to actually show some restraint this time and wait until the new chapter came out before making this video. I was gonna do the best and worst bosses and lists, but to be honest, Deltarune chapters 3 onward have all had really good bosses anyways, so I'm just gonna cover my 10 favorite bosses from the game. I'm mainly gonna be judging them based on the gameplay of each boss, but I'll also take some things like the build-up and the atmosphere into account too with my rankings. Also, this video is my opinions. I'm making this video for fun. If you don't agree with me, let me know in the comments. I'd love to read them. Also, this video will have Chapter 5 spoilers in it. But before I do my picks, here are a few honorable mentions that didn't make the list.
I make it rubbish, but I hate pretty good. But I hate pretty good.
I think Spamton is still one of the best characters in the game. The way he's written makes him sound like an incredibly cursed and haunted character. I like that the fight uses the yellow heart, but the fight is really easy unless you're doing Weird Route and fighting him with Chris alone. And the easiness holds it back a little bit for me, since all the other Shadow Crystal bosses are much harder. I like this fight for how creative it is with the battle menu, but I can't really justify putting it on the list. Really all it is just timing the Lancer icons, and that's about it. But I do like the throuple idea a lot. Wait, what is that supposed to mean? I love the mic trio, but the PC version of this fight kind of blows, because you have to blow into a microphone.
Okay, it seems to work.
The Switch 2 version's a lot more fun since you get to use both mics at once, meaning the attacks are a lot more fun and more engaging. Yeah, I bought this game twice, so what? I bought it on the Switch, then bought it again on the PC so I could record footage for this video. So now I own the game twice.
I even have doubles. What? I have doubles.
Anyways, with that out of the way, let's start the list. 10th best. Well, the number 10 spot goes to a Chapter 5 boss, so click off the video if you don't want spoilers now. Cause Chapter 5 is hot garbage.
It's a piece of fucking shit!
I'm being facetious, but like, the first hour of this chapter is third wheeling with 2 lesbians. Which first, happy Pride Month. But second, you guys have been doing this rigmarole for like 5 years now. I know it's only been like 2 days for them, but like, just become a couple already. It's not like either of you have anything else going on. But anyways, Chapter 5 starts pretty slow. It's like The Force Awakens of Deltarune. It just retreads beats from Chapter 1. But then suddenly you reach the swamp wetlands area and these humans start showing up. Yellow, green, aqua, blue, orange, and Seth. This chapter really hopes you'll like these flower characters because they are around a lot. A lot. I mean, you have a dozen optional cutscenes that just show these guys interacting with each other. Luckily, I do like them. It helps that this chapter is lighter in tone than Chapter 4. Like, an entire segment of a character trying to off themselves would not have worked with Chapter 4's tone. But anyways, you fight these flower guys a lot throughout the chapter, and a lot of those battles are in this brand new style of gameplay introduced in the chapter. I mean, like, this chapter's not too crazy so far, it's just like Chapter 1. What the? It's a platformer now? While I think the side-scrolling battles are fun, my favorite of the flower bosses will actually go to Aqua, cause it's objectively the worst choice I could pick. Yeah, the blue and yellow fight is super unique and well made, but it's my list so I pick the entries. I have a few reasons I like this fight. One, I think Aqua's a really cute character. I like how she's like a mini Chris, complete with the heart. And like Chris, she's a massive dickhead. She's supposed to be the patience attribute, but she's like if Lancer had a 1-second attention span, and instead of trying to eat everything, he tried to stab everything. Even after sparing her in this fight, there's probably a solid 30 to 40 times she's still serving as an obstacle throughout the chapter. She does a better job of trying to stop you than the Knight ever did. But I like how it feels playing this part of the game, and suddenly seeing another human, and finally having Chris see someone that looks like them. And at this point you don't really know what's going on. In a way, she is kind of a surrogate for Chris in Flowery's world for Asgore. I mean, why else would Asgore want this little kid around? She's meant to serve as an ideal Chris, back when the family was still around Asgore, but with like a billion more knives. Plus, I think it's a pretty difficult fight, even with healing. You fight her only with Chris, so that means you can only get hit about 5 times. Like, no joke, I lost to Aqua more than I lost to Jevil, Spamton, the Knight, and Gerson combined when I was recording footage for this video. And by that I mean I lost more than 2 times, but still. When I saw that knife pattern in the chapter's trailer, I knew something would be up. When I see knives, I think Flowey. When I open the cutlery drawer, I'm like, Flowey's been here. 9th best. Chapter 4 is still my favorite chapter of Deltarune, even after playing Chapter 5. Do you want to know my chapter ranking? No? Well, it's 4, 5, 2, 3, 1. I love the atmosphere of the Church Dark World so much. You're in this grand, epic cathedral that spans infinitely in every direction. The NPCs all talk about dreams and the prophecy and just a bunch of cool-sounding nonsense that actually isn't helpful at all, but this is peak dialogue. They say absolutely nothing, but it sounds cool. Plus, unlike Chapter 3, this chapter actually makes good use of backtracking. Once you get the climb claws, you can go back and find these climb walls that weren't accessible before. And it allows you to do the Shadow Crystal boss for this chapter, which is hidden away in the Old Man's study. And that boss is, big surprise, the Old Man and the sea turtle, because he's a sea turtle. The main reason I like this fight is, like with Chapter 4, the atmosphere is really great. Unlike the other Shadow Crystal fights, this isn't a case of a crazy guy trying to beat you up like the other 3 bosses were before this chapter. This fight is more like a training session between Gerson and Susie. This battle also uses the Green Heart mode. The Gerson statue fight later in the game also does this, but it's a lot more complex here. Thankfully, you don't have any of those arrows that switch sides like Undyne uses, but you do have these turtle shells that I suck at dodging, and you have this hammer attack. I have literally no idea how to avoid this attack. Like, I know I am in the footage, but that's just luck. This fight is kinda hard too, since you can't heal with items and you can only fight him with Susie. But if you do lose, you can just try again, and the attacks are in the same order each time. So like a training session in a movie or something, you slowly get better and better at the fight. Susie gets better at healing the more you fight. You begin to get through entire attacks without getting hit. And it's really organic and rewarding to finally win this fight and get the magic axe. Or you could beat it on your first try like I somehow did when I recorded footage for this video, cause that felt really good. I guess all my practice from doing this fight in August last year remained even after all this time. I love this fight, but I have a few things I dislike about it that hold it back, and this segment's already long enough, so here, read my wall of text. Did you agree? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're down there, I'd like to say, only 5.9% of my viewers are subscribed to the channel. Let's try to get that number down to, 0%? 8th best. Guys, you won't believe this story, but it's totally true. So I was backstage at the TV Time offices, and I found this old game console locked up in the back, and when I started playing it, there was like a lot of static, and I was like, that's weird. This game isn't like the game I was playing out there. Is this some kind of lost media? And then when I fought this cloak thing, when my character in the game got hurt, I got hurt in real life, and I realized if I die in the game, I die in real life. I'm sorry if what I'm about to say isn't PC, but I don't care what this guy's name is. Shadow Mantle Holder is a terrible name. Who would want that on their driver's license? To me, his name is Eram. I don't care if I'm dead naming him. Also, in my headcanon, this guy is the Shadow Mantle itself. I don't know, he kinda looks Mantle-like. And you fight him in a game called Mantle. This is the only fight I can think of in Deltarune that isn't fought in the battle system, and luckily it's a really good fight. Eram's fight is actually pretty tough for me. You have to get really good at dodging his attacks, which go really fast and require quick responses. And the fight doesn't end till you deal enough damage, so you have to get really good at getting hits in as he flies around. By the way, this fight has that friend character, and if you want my opinion, I don't get the hype around this guy. Are you telling me that the character whose name hasn't been said anywhere in the actual game yet, and only appears in very specific cutscenes or in basements as an Easter egg, is going to be an important character going forward? I don't really buy it. I don't care about Friend. I mean, I did make a zine original that had a reference to Friend's design in one of my games that threw bombs like Eram and threw PPs, but that's besides the point. I hope there are some more fights like this one in the game that aren't fought in the traditional battle system, cause this one is really good. And if there aren't, I don't know, I'll cry or something. 7th best. Chapter 1 of Deltarune was really cool when it first came out. I still remember when this thing was called Survey Program. However, when Chapter 1 came out, I had just turned 15, and as a result, I was still a dumb kid who sucked at every game he played, so I could never beat Jevil. And that's too bad, because I think he's the best boss across Chapters 1 and 2 easily. To even reach him, you have to backtrack and find pieces of his cell key. Apparently, Jevil was so dangerous that they had to lock him up, and then they just left the keys laying around in random chests scattered around the woods. Jevil has the most unique attacks in Chapter 1, which gives this fight a ton of variety. Since he's the Joker card, he can attack with all 4 suits: spades, hearts, clubs, diamondes, and knives, and carousels. Those latter 2 attacks he has also require learning patterns, which I can't really say any other boss in Chapter 1 or 2 requires. And because you fight him in Chapter 1, he's pretty tough since you don't have much health or items yet. I still can never beat him in only 1 try, it always takes me 2 tries. And when I was recording footage for this video, Ralze got destroyed just as Jevil got tired, so I had to sacrifice a revivement just to end the battle. Jevil also has some of that juicy lore, since this is the first time freedom and whatnot get mentioned. He says he's the only free one, despite being in a cage. He's just like me, I'm the only sane one. His writing is really good here, and contains a lot of meaning. The writing has gotten a lot better from Undertale. For example, the scene of Ralze explaining that he can't be Susie's friend for real because he's consigned to the Dark World is really sad, but it also contains some deeper meanings. This is the developer explaining to Deltarune fans that, like Susie, they need to go make friends in real life. But despite this guy having lore, I'm not going to talk about my theories or anything. Except one. I have a theory that I don't think anyone else has ever talked about. Human Ralze theory. Ralze is a very goat-like entity, right? But what if I told you that's just a facade? Evidence 1. In Chapter 2, when you and Noel see Susie and Ralze on their own quest, Noel says, "Who is that person?" Not, "Who is that monster?" or "Who is that boy?" or "goat," or anything. No, she says, "person." Evidence 2. In Chapter 4, during the tea time scene with Gerson, Gerson calls Ralze young man. Man as in human. Why? Does Gerson know something that we don't know about Ralze? Evidence 3. When you meet Ralze, he looks like the river person from Undertale. As in person. As in human. This leads to my theory, that the human that the prophecy talks about is not Chris, but is actually Ralze. And that the prince from the dark is actually Lancer. I believe this theory will have massive lore ramifications on the rest of Deltarune. Oh right, Jevil. Jevil was the first great boss in Deltarune, and if he was the best boss in the game even after 4 new chapters, then wow, Deltarune would really suck and it would have peaked really early. 6th best. So here's a question for you. Do you remember Undertale? Do you remember this guy? Well, he's back in spirit with a new character in Deltarune, but now he's, Japanese. When I first played Chapter 2 of Deltarune in 2021, I thought Queen was super annoying and tryhard. I thought she wasn't funny the first time I played. I was dumb back then, I love Queen now. And I would love if my beloved Dell laptop turned into a tall woman with heels and long legs and a drinking problem. Now 5 years later when I played Chapter 5, I was getting a similar feeling when Flowery appeared, but I was like, hang on, he's supposed to be annoying. Like Ralze says, you're supposed to get the vibe that this guy is off. I like that the flowers in this chapter won't stop alternating between being your friend or your enemies. It makes sense that they want to stop you. After all, if you seal their fountain, they'll stop existing forever. It's like a better version of Queen's motives for wanting to keep the Lightners happy. But the battle when Flowery finally fights you is great. First off, Orange Heart? That wasn't an Undertale. Which trait is this again? Finger? Now you can dart forward, which you can use to deflect blue things. Like other Heart modes, the battles get completely transformed, since you now have to focus on timing. Makes you wonder how an Aqua Heart mode would work, considering the whole thing with that color in Undertale was that you can't move. Flowery also has the other 6 flowers helping you the whole time, So this fight actually gets pretty tough. Despite being flowers, these guys hit like trucks. You know, when I saw this flower setup back in Chapter 1, I knew it meant something. I didn't know 8 years later that these guys would be final bosses. Imagine if Asgore's multiplying egg fridge was the final boss instead. Wouldn't that be a laugh and a half? 5. Shoot, I can't talk. 5th best. I swear, Chris and Susie will do anything but work on their project. If I was in a group of 3 with these two, we would have had the project done by the end of Chapter 1. But no, I guess we have to climb this tower instead of working on our bibliography. Well, maybe something cool will be at the top at least. Oh my god. It's Gabe Newell. I thought these guys would be the final bosses of the game, but no, we're fighting one now. The Titan fight has great build-up. The cutscene of this thing coming out of the tower looks amazing. And the climbing is one of my favorite parts of Chapter 4's gameplay. It uses the darkness mechanic like the Titan spawn did right before, meaning you get TP from the enemy turns instead of by grazing. This is off topic, but I think spawn is the hardest theme in the game, even if the fight kind of annoys me. When Chris and the gang fight embryo fetus baby things, they're the heroes of legend, but when I do it at the hospital, they arrest me. Talk about society's double standard. The Titan fight uses similar attacks to the spawn, where spawns of spawns show up and rush at the heart. Once you get enough TP, you can unleash and deal heavy damage before the Titan's weak point gets covered again. Repeat that until the game is like, okay, you won, the fight's over. My only complaint is that this fight is too easy. This dude is like 1 billion feet tall, but the best he can do is try to smush you with his fingers. All he does besides that is send babies and fish to attack you, which are like the 2 weakest things I can think of. This guy could probably slam his hands down on you and deal like 9 million damage at once, but I guess he doesn't want to. Despite being a massive ultimate destruction, he just stands there, throwing fish at you. But yeah, this fight is super easy if you have the Shadow Crystal weapons and the mantle. If you think this fight is hard, you're just bad at the game. But you know what they say.
Bad players will think the play control is poor, while good players will think the play control is good.
So, remember that every day and have a good day. 4th best. So, I was gonna do this long, slow intro for this entry where I was taking a lot of pauses and talking slow, so then the bit I was gonna do is that the pumpkin shows up and it's like, "You're taking too long." And then I guess I just did do that bit. Despite being earlier in the chapter, I think this fight is a lot better than Titan, and it's 100% because of the gameplay. Deltarune in general has way more varied bullet patterns and gameplay in the battles compared to Undertale, but this fight completely turns it on its head. What if instead of timed attacks, the enemy used a maze with obstacle dodging and pumpkins chasing you? What if you could no longer get TP from grazing and defending, and now you have to collect kernels of corn to use your spells? What if it's like a YouTube poop, and the same voice line keeps getting sentence mixed to say different things? This fight is kind of hard too. The bullets move in patterns that can be hard to predict, so you'll end up taking a lot of damage on each enemy turn. Unless you heal with items. I kind of forget you can heal at any time in this game since items are never very scarce. But this fight is so genius. Good job, developers. It kinda sucks that you can skip it all by using the TP gems or the TP max. That's what my sister did when I forced her to play Deltarune chapters 3 and 4 at gunpoint a few months ago. Also, when we were playing and we got to the scene with the Gerson hammer reveal, some randos outside her apartment started banging on the windows yelling, "Deltarune!" Which I guess proves Deltarune fans go outside, so that's a good thing. But when me and my sister were watching Beverly Hills Chihuahuas 2 later that week, there wasn't a single person who banged on the window.
Uncle Pedro!
Give me some pop.
Therefore, the Beverly Hills Chihuahuas 2 fanbase is better behaved than the Deltarune fanbase. I rest my case. 3rd best. Chapter 5 introducing platforming as a gameplay mechanic really expanded the exploration for secrets. Getting the pink coins is a really fun challenge since it involves backtracking or doing some of the harder platforming segments. And what's your reward for getting all these coins? You get to fight... oh great. Ugh, it's Mew Mew. And it's not even Mad Mew Mew like in Undertale. Where's Mad Dummy? I want Mad Dummy. Okay, wait a minute. What's with all the Undertale references in this chapter out of nowhere? What is this, Undertale 2? This battle introduces so many crazy new mechanics. Out of nowhere, the Purple Heart mode is back, but you get way more varied patterns than Muffet's battle. You have squares, you have plus signs, you have 3D tubes? What is this game, Cyrus? You know, Cyrus, the arcade game that looks like this? At the start of the battle, your TP meter gets shrunken by a lot, so you have to collect these hearts to fill your max TP. Then you have to flirt with Pink to fill the Doki meter. Then you have to answer her questions to get Mercy. It's a really good gameplay loop. Another great Shadow Crystal boss to add to the Pantheon. It just becomes chaos halfway through the battle too when Pink's body and the ghosts inside Pink split in half and start fighting you as a duo. Having the good and evil halves of one person split into two is a really old trope, but it's great in this battle. Because this battle is really hard. It is a Shadow Crystal fight after all. I heard that Freedom leitmotif in the song. But you know what that means. Another Shadow Crystal fight, and another fight that hasn't convinced me that Gaster will have any role in this game. I'm gonna say it, guys, I don't think Gaster is in this game. I don't buy that the character in Undertale who gets mentioned by 5 or so random NPCs if you arbitrarily roll a die correctly at the start of the game. Are you telling me that this guy is the mastermind of Deltarune? You're telling me that this entire game is just an experiment he's doing? I don't believe it. I'm not a Gaster follower. I mean, I did make a WD Gaster theme zine original for my game, but that's besides the point. The real experiments we should be doing anyways are trying to explain the Dark World's rules. Like, how does a Lightner possess a Darkner? And if you take milk chocolate into the Dark World, does it become dark chocolate? And if I take my phone on light mode into the Dark World, does it automatically switch to dark mode? I'll check now. Oh, right. Second best. Chapter 3 was the first chapter of Deltarune to have consistently good bosses, in my opinion. Chapter 1 is like the intro, so who cares? But Chapter 2 has some mid-bosses. Why does Birdly purposely move in the way so he always gets hit by you? Is he dumb or something? Wouldn't it make more sense that you have to hit him based on which character he's in front of? And why is the fight with the 3 robots so bad? I mean, it's like a minute long, so who cares, but I do not like these robots. Stop trying to make Sweet Cap and Cakes happen, developers. I don't like them. I would not invite them to my castle town if I had a say. But anyways, the second pick for my list is Mr. Antenna. Tenna is my favorite character in Deltarune. I think he does Queen's premise of trying to protect the Lightners a lot better than Queen did. He wants to go back to a time when the Dreamer family was still together, and when everyone would gather around him and watch the boob tube. His motives are a little more selfish compared to Queen, but I think that makes him a more entertaining villain as well. Shout out the characters who have a screen for a head. It's gotta be my favorite villain design trope ever. But the main reason I like this fight is cause it's like WarioWare. I'm the biggest WarioWare fan. Why would I want to play stupid Deltarune when I could play my favorite game series, WarioWare, instead? It does a really good job of combining not only the physical challenges from across the chapter, but also the individual attacks other enemies have into one fight. And when you're not doing the microgames, Tenna has some really tough attacks to dodge, and since you no longer have things like dual heal, the fight can actually get pretty hard. The attack where he splits the screen in half I still suck at avoiding. Though, if you're like me and can play most of it without taking damage, then the fight's a lot easier since you don't have to take time off to heal. The bit at the end with all the microgames going in a row is great though. I don't know how you get the Susie Zilla game to appear in part of this lineup too. I've only ever gotten it on the Switch once, but it's a pretty cool addition. You know, Chris got really lucky that when their house became a dark world, it was the TV that took over. I live in a basement right now where about 50 new arthropods show up every time I wake up or every time I leave and come back. So if a dark world opened in my house, it wouldn't be like TV time. It would be like, look outside. And I'd have a ton of giant arthropods to fight. Shoot, what if that happens? What objects could I bring to life in the dark world to defend me? Objects to bring to life. Snoopy MetLife plush? No. Milk plush? That wouldn't be good either. She's really mentally ill. Skylanders, the gimmick is they come to life already. Anyways, the Tenna fight is really good due to the difficult attacks, the crazy variety of micro games it pulls from, and also, the theme that plays is probably my favorite in the game. Even if I can only hear the lyrics from 123 Connor Poop's TV Time YouTube poop in my head from now on. But there is one fight I would say is better than this one, so let's talk about it now. Actually, let me put my hands down. I don't want to end up like Tenna did. Best. Well, this will be an anticlimactic pick. Wow, the main antagonist of the game is my favorite boss, wow. I unfortunately knew that the knight was in Chapter 3 before I played it. I guess I saw spoilers somewhere, but I didn't realize how cool the reveal in the fight would be. First off, the build-up, or more specifically, the lack of build-up. I actually really like how the knight appears without any warning. I really like games where you get to fight the main antagonist halfway through the game. The only other game I can think of that does this is Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga, but apparently there's a bunch of JRPGs where this happens too. But that build-up, where the knight appears, and then they roar, and then they pull out their weapons as Black Knife starts playing, absolute cinema. Excuse me. The knight is my favorite boss because of the atmosphere of the fight, but also because of the difficulty. It was last summer, actually, that I finally committed to doing the Sans fight in Undertale, and while I like it a lot, it's definitely a hard fight to learn. You're suddenly expected to become an expert at the blue heart mode after using the red heart for pretty much the whole game. For comparison, the Roaring Knight is the red heart the whole time, so you'll have a lot more experience with control. The knight's attacks are all great, and slowly, you'll get better at dodging them. First you learn to dodge the star attack, then the knife attack, then this attack which is like impossible to dodge, then the knife hallway attack that had to get patched because it was actually impossible to dodge. And it feels really rewarding, slowly getting better and better at this fight over time. And my favorite thing about this fight is it doesn't let up. The other final bosses in Deltarune chapters, like Titan or the Queen Robot, will make themselves easier if you keep losing. But not here. This is a Shadow Crystal boss after all, so they're not messing around. And I have to say, thank God you can instantly restart the fight instead of having to walk over from the save point each time. I don't know who this guy is talking to me in the game over screen, but he seems like a nice dude to let me reload my saves like this. There will 100% be another Roaring Knight fight later in the game, but this one will always stand out to me for how sudden it is, how difficult it is, and how climactic it is. That being said, when I was recording footage for this video, I beat the knight on my second try after not doing the fight for almost a year. So actually, the fight sucks. It's too easy. Forget everything I said. Oh no, I forgot to record an outro, but I'm really thirsty now. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of my picks, and let me know if you have more ideas for Deltarune videos. Bye.